Hello and welcome to the Feminine Millionaire Show. I'm your host, Polly Alexander. I'm a success coach, healer, creative and future millionaire. If creating money and success in a spiritual and feminine and joyful way is your goal, this show is for you. Let's all rise together. This week's episode is a special guest interview, and it's one that's particularly close to my heart because it's actually one of my own clients that I'm interviewing. Hanna Sacher is a member of my women's mastermind, Thrive Beautifully, which helps you grow your business in a feminine way. And she has experienced tremendous growth in her business in the last 6 months since she joined the mastermind. And I've invited her on the show to share her story of how she went from working one-to-one as a physiotherapist to serving hundreds of women through her online program. Hanna runs a mission-based business, so she helps women to look younger without Botox. And you're going to hear today how she quadrupled her income in 6 months of working with me, and what it feels like to have a 6-figure month in your business. And you'll get to understand the mindset and actions that Hanna created to make this happen. We'll also be talking about what it looks like to truly claim and experience epic freedom and epic abundance in your life at the same time, and what it is to do business in a feminine way. I think you're going to love today's episode, so enjoy diving in. Bye for now. Welcome to today's episode of the Feminine Millionaire Show with special guest Hanna Sacher. Hanna is an Austria-based physiotherapist that runs a 3-step Facelift formula program, which is a facial exercises program, helping women to look younger naturally. Hanna's mission is to empower women with facial training, helping them to become more independent from anti-aging treatments like Botox and fillers. Now, Hanna is also a graduate of my program Money Beautifully, and she is a current member of my Thrive Beautifully mastermind, which she joined in October 2021. So during the time Hanna's been in Thrive Beautifully, participating in the energy work and the business mentoring and teaching in the program, she's gone from an 18k launch before she joined to a 52,000 euro launch 9 weeks into the program. And now at the time of recording this, 7 months into her Thrive journey, she has just hit her first 6-figure launch, just over 100,000 US dollars, about 97,000 euros. Hanna has also been named one of the top 3 of Austria's female entrepreneurs by the National Chamber of Commerce, and she's been featured in major national press and women's magazines and television. In Thrive Beautifully, we take a stand for being the woman that has it all: financial success, business success, freedom, joy, peace, fulfilling relationships and fun. And during the last 6 months, what's brought me a great deal of joy is to witness Hanna grow into this as a woman and claim more joy, more freedom and more happiness as an entrepreneur, which included taking a month off this year to go tango dancing in Buenos Aires and spending the last week of her most recent launch in beautiful Tuscany. We'll dive into those today. So I'm super excited to welcome her on the show today. Welcome, Hanna.
Hi, Polly. Thank you so much for this amazing introduction. I actually had goosebumps now and some small tears come up because I felt like, oh, wow, this is me, who Polly is describing. So I'm feeling really honored.
Yeah, it's really interesting when we hear back somebody else mirror who we are and what we've created. It can be very powerful. So we're going to start right at the beginning of Hanna's journey around how she came to physiotherapy and how she started her online course. And then we'll move into the shifts she had to make to create such incredible results. So let's start at the beginning, Hanna. What attracted you to physiotherapy as a career path?
Well, I wanted to learn about medicine and how to keep a body healthy. And I chose physiotherapy because I was interested in how to stay or become healthy with movement and natural physical treatments. So this is why I chose this path.
Mm-hmm. And was that something that you grew up with in your family, this idea of healthy living or healthy lifestyle, or was there anything that kind of sent you in that direction?
Yes, I grew up a little bit with it because my mother was interested in it too, just not professionally, but just for herself. And I did a lot of volleyball practice back then. And I had friends in the volleyball team that already were physiotherapists. So this sort of got me into that path as well.
Yeah, I always find it really interesting, the environment the universe puts us in growing up, because later in life we often see that seeds were sown by the things we were exposed to.
Yes, absolutely.
So after finishing your physiotherapy degree, you started your one-to-one practice. So can you tell us what made you decide to create a course and a bit more about where that idea came from?
Mm-hmm. So I had my one-to-one physiotherapy practice, which was already specialized in the field of plastic surgery and aesthetic medicine. So I had patients that had surgical treatments like breast augmentations or facelifts or upper eyelid liftings. And so I did the physiotherapeutical treatments around that. And so I helped them with treatments to improve the healing process and support the healing of the scarring, etc. But my practice at the same time was really full. I had no more appointments available, no more flexibility time-wise. My calendar was packed and full. So I was looking for a solution how to get more time freedom again, and at the same time have a business that's working. So I didn't just want to reduce my hours in the practice because I enjoyed the success of business. So I decided to create a course, and which probably needs to be said as well is I had patients that were really happy with the treatments and at the same time said, wow, that felt wonderful. Is there something that I can do myself? Any exercises, for example? Mm-hmm. And at that point, I didn't have any exercises yet for the face because this is actually not really used in physiotherapy. So this got me thinking as well, because I thought, yes, for the body, we're doing all the exercises. We're exercising if we want to have an athletic body. But for the face, we always only rely on creams or other treatments like Botox or fillers. So I thought, actually, it would make sense to have exercises for the facial muscles as well.
Right. And it makes complete sense. I mean, I lift weights several times a week to keep the muscles in my body strong and toned and healthy.
Exactly. And this is so logical, and we all do this for our bodies, but in a weird way, we don't really think of doing this for our faces, and we only rely on the creams. And it doesn't make sense because we all know that body lotion for the body would not get us a six-pack for our bellies. And my personal reason to dive more into that topic was that I noticed wrinkles on my own, and I thought, oh wow, I'm age 25, or back then I was 25, wrinkles on my forehead, that seems a bit too soon. So, and I wanted a natural solution for that. So that was my personal reason to get into that topic.
Great. Thank you for sharing that, because I was curious. Obviously, I've supported you growing your business, but I was curious because so often our pain becomes our purpose, something we've struggled with or suffered with becomes a motivator for then helping others. And so it's really interesting hearing, even at the young age, you were conscious of the signs of aging and motivated to do something about that.
Yeah.
So you decide to create a course, and you obviously were a physiotherapist. I'm sure you didn't get taught about online marketing or courses at university. So, what did you do at this point? How did you figure out how to make this course, how to launch it, how to run it?
So I invested in a course back then already on how to do online marketing and how to create a course, an online course, where I learned the basic strategies and how to create the course and how to launch it later on. I would never do this by myself, because there's so many pieces and so many steps that need to be done that if you're not trained properly, I would not have ever launched this course if I didn't have programs to support me with that.
What were the fears that came up when you were launching that first course? Can you remember?
Probably the thoughts of, would people buy it? Would people buy it from me? Would people really work through the course and then have the results that I desire for them and they want themselves? And also, of course, I had negative voices from others that were doubting whether it would work. So I had to sort of not listen to that too much.
And those doubts from others will always be there, especially when you're in a fairly traditional industry that's got a way of doing things.
Yes, exactly. And definitely physiotherapy is one of these areas where people like to keep it the same way and keep it the traditional way.
So we're going to fast forward now, because you took my Money Beautifully program several years ago to work on your money mindset. But we first got to work together on your business last October when you joined Thrive Beautifully. And so let's fast forward to October 21. And so you came in to Thrive having launched your main online course a couple of times?
I think that was about 3 times already before that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 3 times already. And your biggest launch was 18K in sales.
Yeah.
So tell everybody what happened in October 21. You came into Thrive. We made some tweaks to your strategy and to your launch. Do you want to talk a little about that and then what happened?
Yes, I'd love to. So I remember when I started with Thrive, we had our very first one-to-one session. And this was basically the first time that I really strategically planned out the next launch and also the next months ahead. I hadn't really done this before, really like this. And I remember you suggested a challenge model. Before I only did one-time webinar and then promote the course and sell the course, which worked well before. But the challenge model that you suggested really made sense, because it gave people the chance to get to know the work better and also get to know me better. And this was such an amazing piece, and this tremendously increased the success of this launch and also the following launches. Also, we talked about which investments would be necessary to increase the success of the launch even more, which meant more tech support in the back office, and also like an assistant during the launch, and also more budget for advertisements.
More marketing budget.
Exactly.
Yeah. And I think it can be so hard when we're in our business to see which of the changes to make that are going to yield the best results.
Exactly.
And also to have the courage to grow your team. There's so much that comes up, as you know, Hannah, around team, around recruiting, around delegating, around navigating, around paying, around handling situations, around which people to hire, how to know when to hire, who to hire. It's a huge piece, I think, that can really stop women entrepreneurs growing. and growing with ease, which is one of the things that you have done so beautifully these last couple of launches.
Yeah, and I actually remember that the piece with delegating was one of the main things on my application for Thrive. I remember that really distinctively, that this piece was a big one before joining.
Yeah. So you knew you needed to do it, but there were a lot of questions around it and you needed support with that.
Yeah, exactly. And now looking back, I see that this was a big improvement, that when I did it, it really helped tremendously. And all the preparation work within the Thrive program really supported me in that, definitely.
So before we dive into the shifts you had to make to create this success, let's share with people the incredible numbers from your last two launches. So October 21 was 52,000 euros in sales, right?
Exactly.
For that launch. And then the launch that you've just come out of now in May, that was
97,000 euros.
Incredible. So that's about 103,000 US dollars. So that is officially a 6-figure launch. So huge congratulations, Hanna.
Thank you so much.
And what does it feel like to have a 6-figure month, a 6-figure launch?
It feels incredible and a bit unrealistic because, I would have earned this amount of money maybe in a whole year of physiotherapy work, which was already good in that industry as well, being a solo entrepreneur and everything. But earning that within such a short time frame just feels absolutely incredible.
Yeah. And I have to ask you, what are you going to do with the money? What are your plans?
I'm currently doing some home improvements, gifting myself with some new furniture. I've invested in a bigger home, like renting a bigger home, and also planning a new trip to Buenos Aires and a trip to Spain to practice Spanish. So these are some gifts to myself.
Fantastic. So you're up leveling your lifestyle, your living environment, which is super important, but also creating amazing experiences.
Yes.
Yeah, I love that. Let's go to Buenos Aires because, as I mentioned at the beginning, one of the things that we take a stand for in Thrive Beautifully is for experiencing and creating success in all areas of our lives. This is not financial or business success at the expense of personal freedom and happiness. And do you want to tell people what you decided to do after your first big launch in October?
Yes, I'd love to. So I had this thought of practicing tango argentino in Buenos Aires already in 2020, I think. But then I didn't do it. I was busy. The pandemic hit the world and everything. So I didn't do it. And then start of 2022, my dance partner from tango said to me, but again, would you like to join? And well, actually, this is exactly what I want to join right now. And so 2 weeks before, and then 2 weeks after, we already left to go to Buenos Aires for 4 weeks. And this was just incredible to be able to be so flexible and so spontaneous.
And you kept your business running whilst you were away.
Exactly, because I still had my course from autumn running. I still had some live sessions with that course group. So I wanted to make sure that, of course, I deliver the best of the program for them while also going to Buenos Aires. So I did a bit of work every day, which felt totally fine by me. And I actually enjoyed it, being in contact with them and being able to continue working that way. And I also delivered one live call for them from Buenos Aires, which worked wonderfully. Mm-hmm. And actually, they all celebrated me for doing this. They were really happy for me that I was able to do this. And yeah, they all celebrated that for me as well.
How beautiful. And this is the thing, when we claim our biggest life, when we go out there and dare to do things differently, we inspire so many around us.
Yes, exactly. Because I had this one fear that if I would go now, that people or my course participants would say, okay, now we bought the program and now she's off, or she's using our money to go on holiday. But these were all just fears in my head, and that was not reality at all. And I made sure that they would receive the very best of the program.
Yeah, so amazing. Now, this is not just the first time that you took time off. Tell us about your most recent launch and what happened during your live launch week.
Yes, so the most recent launch, it really went through the roof. So I had, within the first sales day, I had already over, I think, 50,000 euros, which was the total of the last launch I had in the very first day. So this already felt incredible. And then I was in the middle of the launch, and a friend came by and she asked me, how are you doing? And that she's going to Tuscany and planning a holiday. And that some things changed. Another person now can't go, and whether I would like to join. And I checked my calendar and said, well, actually, I'm in the middle of my launch, which is the most important week of the year. But actually, I'm free to go from work there. So the next morning we left.
Amazing, amazing. So what had you created in your business that allowed you to even take that experience during your launch week?
I was so much better organized beforehand. All the material basically was planned beforehand. And I also had my tech support in the back office who did all the email automations and all the tech work, all the landing pages behind the scenes. So that was a big piece that would allow me to be so flexible. And then I also had my virtual assistant that would reply to all the messages and comments in my Facebook challenge group. And yes, just being a lot more organized and having support behind the scenes.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think this is an important myth to blast through, that so many women think that creating this kind of success, making this kind of money, will involve a huge sacrifice of their time, of their energy. And it's actually, in my experience, as your business grows, it gets easier, not harder.
Yeah, if you do it the right way. Because this was a belief that I had myself as well. And I only got to that point because I'm a member in your Thrive group, definitely, because otherwise I would have never gotten to that point, or I would not have allowed myself to do those experiences and to gift myself with these experiences, because I tend to be more of a workaholic and only to focus on work and only to focus on the professional success. And I would tend to forget my personal experiences and personal successes. So this is definitely one big thing that I learned, and I'm still learning through Thrive. Definitely.
Yeah. So you went from 18K was your biggest launch when you came in, then you went to 52K 2 months in, and then 97K. How important has the support that you receive been?
Well, the support was huge for me. That was the biggest piece that would allow me to jump those levels. So a big piece was the energy healing during a live calls, because at every stage of business or launching, there will be blocks that come up. And so the energy work that you did with us was just so helpful to resolve these blocks and to actually do the steps that are necessary and have that energy that would call in these sales and these numbers.
Yeah, and that's a really important point. Thank you for mentioning that, because it's a different frequency of energy that enables a woman to attract and to hold this type of money, this level of money and income, and this number of clients as well. I mean, how many people do you have in your current live program?
Around 170 people.
170, yeah. And there's an energetic frequency that can hold that number of people without going into overwhelm or freaking out or feeling undeserving. And I know that we did work on this,
yes.
Work on you being able to hold this many people in your program.
Absolutely, yeah. And I also remember having the feelings of, who am I to make that much money if I don't really need it now? Like, I enjoy having it, but I don't need it. So who am I to earn that much?
Yeah.
Or also, am I ripping people off with giving them this course because it's not, you don't need it to survive. It's nice to have it, of course, and it's important to feel comfortable in your own skin, but it's not necessary to survive. So that was also a block that I probably had from my physiotherapy background, medicine background, that work needs to be necessary to survive. Otherwise, it's not important enough.
Yeah, this is such an interesting topic, because this is all about the kind of having just enough, just the necessities, exactly. Not asking for more than we need. There's so many themes that as women we experience, be happy with what you've got, that's enough. Or who are you to ask for more than you need? Who are you to make that much money? And I think we have to all individually and collectively break through these dialogues that say we should be happy with the minimum, or we've got what we need and we shouldn't ask for more.
We mentioned the energy work that was really, really supportive for me. And what was also really, really helpful was the support around the specific action steps. Because sometimes I don't quite know what to do. So you helped me to specify my action steps. So that was one big piece. And also to keep me accountable on these specific steps.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes we know what we need to do, but we just don't do it because it feels overwhelming or we don't feel structured enough. Basically, overall, the combination of strategy and doing the necessary steps in combination with the energy work and spiritual work. This is just so powerful around your programs. And I could really see the results thanks to these two pieces in combination.
Yeah, and I also want to honor that you really showed up fully for the process. You get out what you put in, and Hanna showed up to every live call with questions, asking questions in the private community, and pushing herself outside her comfort zone again and again, but also taking the foot off the gas when needed. And that's one of the things I really wanted you to hear, the amazing experiences around travel that Hanna's created for herself, because this hasn't been a journey about doing more and pushing harder and working harder and giving up all your time. In fact, as witness to your journey, I would say it's been about the opposite.
Yes, that's true. And actually, when I went to Tuscany, I delivered the last few live calls from there. And I could feel that the luxurious environment there and being taken care of, the service there really uplifted my energy. And I feel like this really supported me in having that success for that launch. And this again showed me that actually treating myself through these experiences again mirror back on my professional success.
Yes.
Whereas in the past, I would have thought I only need to focus on personal treats, no time off because it's time for work. But what I've learned through Thrive and your guidance is that actually treating myself personally mirrors back on my professional life.
Yeah. The more filled up you are, the higher the energy you're putting into your clients and your mission and your business. And they feel that.
Yes, I agree. And I remember before my trip to Buenos Aires, I remember asking you and the other Thrive members, can I really do that? Can I really give off that much be a way for that. And I remember the encouragement. And I'm really grateful that I had this group to support me in taking decisions like that. Because probably if I would have been by myself, I maybe would have not done it.
Yeah.
Being afraid that it would decrease my professional success.
Yeah, exactly. I think we can try so hard to do the right thing and be diligent and be at our desk every day.
Exactly.
And, you know, follow these old rules that say you should be doing a 9 to 5 or 9 to 7, and feel unconsciously that we somehow have to justify our success by working really hard. And I know that you had a model from your own father of what success looked like.
Exactly. Yeah. So I didn't dare to break through that pattern that I was shown in childhood and everything before I joined Thrive. And this is a big piece that I didn't know before joining, but I realized that the way of working in a more feminine way is a really big learning piece for me in the last few months, and continues to be. And I'm really grateful that I'm having you as a mentor demonstrating this for me so that I can learn this from you.
My pleasure. As you know, we all rise together. We are all on this same journey. What do you most love about running your own online business or being a digital entrepreneur?
The flexibility and freedom concerning time and location. Yeah. I remember being in this cafe in Buenos Aires and then one of my favorite songs came on in the background, and I goosebumps thinking, oh wow, this is my life now.
I think we all crave that as women now. I think people are getting less tolerant of the old way of working, of being told what hours to do.
Yeah.
And we're craving to live life on our own terms in a way that most works for us.
Yeah. And one thought that came up to me recently was from 9 to 5 to 9 to thrive. This is something that I went through, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Completely changing the old way into this way of much more freedom and thriving.
Yes.
And the money coming in much more easily than it did in the old way.
Absolutely.
What is true abundance for you?
So the freedom and flexibility that I've already touched on, and also having that material abundance, because I personally, as we've already talked as well, I come from this pattern of just enough, just the necessary things, just the things that are necessary to survive, basically, to also allowing myself to enjoy things that are not necessary to survive, enjoy things that are just for fun and pleasure, and to be able to buy the things that I want, and to buy or spend money to have the experiences that I desire, like going to Buenos Aires, taking private tango classes, or going to Tuscany for a luxury retreat.
What qualities do you think make you successful as an entrepreneur?
I think the discipline that I gained through my volleyball experience back in the days, or that I inherited from my father, this sort of secured the basic success. But what really I feel like made the big leap was when I started to do the energy work as well, to clear blocks that were holding me back. And when I started to work in a more feminine way, in a more balanced way. So I feel like the most powerful things for me are to have the discipline, but at the same time be balanced and do the energy work, and to allow the joy in my life as well, and not only be disciplined like I did in the past.
That's the balance between being in harmony with our masculine and our feminine energies. The masculine's the structure and the discipline, the feminine's being intuitive, doing the inner work, being in more flow, having more joy.
Absolutely. And this is the thing that you are teaching in Thrive. And this is why I value this program so much, because this is the balance that you are teaching and that I'm learning through the program.
Yeah. And I also want to honor you showing up. You really do show up fully for your personal growth and for your business growth. Even with fears, even with doubts, you still show up. And I want to honor that in you.
Thank you so much. I'm really having this sort of fangirl moment to be on this podcast, because I listened to your podcast since it's existing. And before that, I was listening to everything else you shared.
You can find out more about Hanna Sacher's programs in the show notes, in the links below. She does currently work in the German language. So those of you that are German speaking, go check out her programs and her Instagram. I'm obviously trying to introduce the concept of global expansion to her. So maybe we'll be recording an episode in a few years' time talking about her English language programs. But for now, she gets phenomenal results for her clients. I've seen the testimonials firsthand. I've heard the feedback she gets. So if you are in a German-speaking country, I strongly recommend you checking them out. But let's finish with, what's next for you? And what are you committed to creating more of in your life?
So one of my goals is to continue creating this balanced way of working between masculine and feminine energies, between structure and discipline, and joy and fun and intuition. This is one of the things that I'm currently working on. Mm-hmm. And so I'm planning to go to Spain for 3 or 4 weeks to practice Spanish, and then go off to Buenos Aires again to continue dancing tango. These are my personal desires for the coming future.
Beautiful. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show today and sharing your journey. I think it's going to be incredibly inspirational for everyone listening. And it's been an absolute joy to work with you and support you into creating more and more impact in the world with your work, and more success and personal wealth for you as well.
Thank you. I'm genuinely feeling honored to be a guest.
If today's episode spoke to your heart, if today's episode ignited something in you, and you are ready to claim a bigger experience of work, life, and money, then I invite you to apply for my Thrive Beautifully Mastermind. It is time for women to rise. It is time to create epic wealth and abundance. And this is a beautiful, deep, powerful, spiritual container with an amazing mix of businesses that can support you on that journey. Just complete the application form in the show notes for this episode, and I will reach out and we can schedule a time to chat about if it's right for you. Taking a stand for more for you in every area of your life. Have a wildly expansive week. See you again next week.